OneShot is often heralded as an underrated RPG Maker darling that needs more attention than it already has. Despite that sentiment though, there is actually a lot of fan projects and activity surrounding the game as is. There are not one, but two sequels to the game that have their own page on Steam. Both caught my eye, but most recently I spent time with Fading Memory. Fading Memory starts with you looking at the main menu for the OneShot you're familiar with, but with something very off. Static permeates the screen, and there's a new option at the bottom of the window. Selecting it allows you to talk to the world machine. Your dialogue might vary, but for me, he explained that he knows Nikos isn't around anymore, likely a reference to putting the light bulb back before you do a Solstice playthrough. Shortly after, you're booted out of the game, and upon firing it up again, you're treated to a whole new title screen complete with a new logo subheader and everything. Very cool. Upon starting, Nikos wakes up in his room, only this time he has a brand new sprite. Personally, I like the new look a lot. In typical one-shot fashion, you stumble around your room, tugging at leads and trying to combine various items to eventually progress. This time though, you actually have access to more of the house, including a queen-sized bedroom and a completely different looking basement. Sadly, there is no diagonal movement like the World Machine Edition. 0 out of 10, absolutely untouchable. What about meta puzzles? Well, FM has them in spades, and makes a strong first impression with one involving a water bottle early on that I won't give away here. Just know that the team behind Fading Memory understands the importance of these kinds of meta mechanics in relation to OneShot, and they are not forgotten here at all. In fact, my worries that this mod wouldn't be true to the dialogue and theming of the original game were immediately dispelled the instant I saw that if you have scissors equipped on Nikos, he will refuse to run. It's cute, it's funny, and incredibly true to the character. Also, I gotta say, there's something that felt very official about being able to earn Steam achievements for a fan project like this. I know that's a very small thing, but still. I often unlocked them when I was doing something foolish, like accidentally getting shocked or running with the aforementioned pair of scissors. Before I continue, just know that I cover RPG Maker games and mods for RPG Maker games all the time, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, be sure to stick around and subscribe to the channel. Eventually, we end up in these caves, but not before being treated to a really nice illustration pan of the area, just like the ones in the original OneShot. I love the glowing fragments in the air. It's a little visual touch that goes a long way in making this environment feel different from other places Nikos has been in the past. It's definitely an intimidating place to be at first, don't get me wrong, and I don't just mean the atmosphere. If you're like me, the instant you go into a big open area in these kinds of games, there's a vague feeling of dread because it feels like it's easy to mess up finding the way forward to progress. Now, there are definitely some areas here where I feel maybe the dialogue Nikos gives could push the player in the right direction a bit more, but most of the time when I was stuck, it was just me not reading very obvious clues, and overall this entire section in particular wasn't as hard to get through as I had expected. Fast forward through some more clever meta puzzles and some container chicanery, and you'll eventually find yourself talking to this guy who's super friendly and helps you with various puzzles in the area. With his guidance, you're even able to control another character so that you can collect an ingredient you need to advance the story, albeit through a really ugly screen filter. Long story short, you'll need his keycard to progress, which involves getting through this really big mining area. It is very easy to get lost in unless you know the trick to navigating it. The sound design in this place does a great job in reminding you that despite Nikos' cute demeanor and the lovable characters that are at the forefront of OneShot, the world itself can be cold and uncaring. Great stuff. You can eventually find the robot's room and give him the keycard, but you can also give him a sentimental photograph found in the ladder room, which turns out to be an awful mistake. The person in the photograph isn't ever explained fully, but showing it to the robot causes him to sprint for his room. If you go in there, you can find him trapped under some rubble, which understandably scares Nikos. You can try to use the car jack on the bookshelf to save him, but it's too late, and Nikos sobs uncontrollably at the husk of a being that helped him only moments ago. Or at least that's what happened with me, because apparently if you're fast enough, you can actually save this robot and get completely different story beats later on, as was cleared up by the developer that I talked to, which is really cool, but god, was Nikos really sad, good grief. I asked one of the developers, Zimber, what was most important to capture in this mod when his team was making it, and they said they wanted to not only capture what OneShot was, but expand on the idea of consequence, being able to see the ramifications of your actions and all that good stuff. After experiencing this scene, I can say that if this is the route they're going with, they are very on track to succeed in this death's goal. This scene is stretched out, agonizing, and really hard on the heart. I'm just really happy they're going in this direction because it makes for some very intense storytelling. I should also stress that, as the beginning already implied, the Solstice ending is 100% canon with this release, as there was at least one nod to it that I found in my time with the demo, and how that particular playthrough is going to impact Fading Memories runtime will be one of the more interesting questions in the back of my mind as I play it. Once you're all situated with everything you need to do in the mines, you'll have the materials you need to fix the robot, not unlike Nikos' original playthrough, and shortly after that, Fading Memories demo ends. My big takeaway from my time with it was that despite my tendency to constantly get stuck in games like this, I loved being in this world again, and the authentic one-shot feeling was totally here. I've spent a lot of time in this video singing this mod's praises, I know, but through a critical lens, it'd be unfair to not point out some of the issues I had. For one, I definitely felt like a lot of this was a little too familiar. Like, I don't think we needed to go through Nikos' house again and do the whole rowboat puzzle a second time. Granted, we do get to see parts of Nikos' place that we hadn't seen before, and the way you solve the robot puzzle is completely different than the vanilla game. But if we're taking the opportunity to revisit the world of OneShot, a place that has captured the imaginations and wonder of so many RPG Maker game fans out there, why spend precious runtime on story beats that are so similar to ones we've already seen? I also think there's a couple of puzzles that could do a better job of pointing you in the right direction. Though, as someone who's prone to getting stuck in these kinds of games super easily, I think it's best you take that particular criticism from me with a grain of salt, because like I said, I can't get past these things. I could also nitpick some of the art. It's cute and endearing, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't use the same pixelated style that the vanilla games did in the cutscenes. Though, I guess that isn't really a requirement at the end of the day, and it does still have the same feeling as the base title, so it is what it is. While we're on the subject of art, I was really surprised to see that you actually have the option to use different resource packs, and there's a pre-installed one that lets you use vanilla sprites instead of the new ones they added. So if you absolutely need that authentic Nikos sprite sheet, rest assured, the Fading Memory team has you covered. I'd also be remiss to not mention the other one-shot sequel mod I'm acquainted with, OneShot Aftermath, which, like Fading Memory, has its own Steam page. I don't believe there's as much to show off for this one at this time, but it does have a substantial amount of development time under its belt and stuff to show for it, just not much that's available to the public. Fading Memory might be a hard act to top, but I talked to the devs on this and they seemed super cool, so rest assured they are more than up to the task of putting out the best mod they can. It's actually going to be super interesting to see how these two teams approach a true one-shot sequel differently, and it's hard not to get excited for both of them. When it does fully release, I'll be sure to make a video on it. The Steam page originally had the release set for this year, but it seems to have been pushed back since. The title Fading Memory is likely inaccurate to how you'll internalize this mod. It sets itself up as a cryptic continuation of the wonderful narrative game that came before it, and similar to how I felt after playing the original game, it stuck with me longer and more strongly than I'd have anticipated. Time will tell if this extension of the story is accepted as well as something like the Solstice update, but most of what I'm seeing here is a really good indicator. If you are a fan of one-shot or just RPG Maker games that can pull your heartstrings out from under you, you're likely in for an amazing time with OneShot Fading Memory.